Why would you feel normal if you were born to be extraordinary? I was casting Series 2 of The Undateables. I had to cross one road, hit by a cab and broke my leg. Adrenaline kicks in, and I call him. I'm like, hey, funny story, been hit by a cab, I think my leg's broken. Bloody hell, Adam, I didn't realise you did your own stunt work. To which I apparently replied, mate, do I look like I've got a fucking stunt double?
Out of 29 Oscar-nominated films with the portrayal of disability, only 2 of the actors were actually disabled.
Yeah, on one hand, there is the argument that it isn't the job of the disabled community to fix a problem they didn't create.
No.
But then if someone doesn't do it, no one's going to. I mean, equally, equality isn't something I will negotiate. How we get there absolutely is.
Adam Pearson, I'm so happy to have you on the podcast and just to get to hang out with you and chat to you today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So we actually met at St James's Palace, which makes us sound quite important, actually.
We are important.
We are important.
We are important.
But we met there and we had such a good chat and we've stayed in touch, which I'm so glad about.
Yeah.
But so much has happened since. This was maybe 3 years ago. And one of the big successes has been this extraordinary film, A Different Man, that you've co-starred in, which I just found almost indescribable. It's such a unique film with some really brilliant messages and surprising moments, and it's thoroughly entertaining as well. This role was actually written for you by the director and writer Aaron, who you've been working with for some time. Now, Aaron grew up with a cleft palate, so he has an understanding of facial disfigurement. That must have made the process much more interesting for you. I'm imagining that you could have those deep conversations before starting this film.
Yeah, absolutely. I think often when we see disfigurement in movies, it's written by people who don't have experience of it, be it personal or even adjacent experience. And the portrayals tend to fall into one of 3 archetypes: the villain, the victim, or the false hero. And so because Aaron's had that lived experience, and has grown up watching movies, he understands the stereotypes, knows how to subvert them, and wants to almost change the narrative. And me and Aaron met in 2017 when I did his second film, Chained for Life. He'd written this film, and he'd written this character called Rosenthal, who was British, had neurofibromatosis type 1, with no knowledge that I even existed. And then he went and saw me in Under the Skin. I was just like, that's Rosenthal, and reached out to my people, and we hopped on Zoom, and he didn't even know if I could act, because I'm only in Under the Skin for a whoop stitch.
Yeah, but that is an iconic scene in that film.
It's become iconic, but also I've had no acting training. Business economics is my background academically, so it's a case of, can he do this? Only one way to find out.
Whack him in a really big film.
Yeah, right. And then you're on a plane going to New York to shoot Chained for Life. And I should have read the script before I got on the plane, but I had 7 hours to kill. So that's when I did it. And that did well, and we toured with that. And then he asked me if I'd work with him again, and I had no problem being like, ding ding, round 2, absolutely. And then I got the script for A Different Man in March 2022. Read it straight away, loved it. Was like, because I know Aaron, I know how he writes and how he thinks. I was like, yeah, we're doing Kaufman, amazing. I'm all in on this.
Yeah.
And then Sebastian got attached. Renata got attached very quickly thereafter. And then end of July, we're back in NYC, shooting again.
It's so brilliant. And obviously, because of how he writes and because of how, well, you have a personal relationship with him, you've created this incredible character that isn't the victim, isn't any of those stereotypes that you've talked about. Those themes are explored, but you are this incredibly electrifying character who comes on screen singing karaoke, is the life and soul of the party. What was it like to play Oswald and to bring that character to life?
As an actor, you always want to show range and flex a little. And the reason, or one of the reasons Aaron wrote that character in that way is he thought my performance in Change Life as Rosenthal went really underrated because I played quite a shy introvert, and people assume that's who I am anyway. And anyone that knows me or gets to know me will find out very quickly nothing could be further from the truth. We shot a lot of Change in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You'll know it best than me saying Harrisburg, Pennsylvania right now. And we sound like this bar, and we had like a lot of disabled kind of cast members. So all these out-of-towners with disabilities walking into a bar, people like kind of look around and like, what the hell's going on? And then I panicked and went, this is my bar now. And everyone went with it.
I love it.
Yeah. Just completely made the statement. And yeah, just to rock up, flex, be more myself, but with the volume turned way, way up.
I loved it.
Like yoga, saxophone,
The
karaoke.
yoga bit. I mean, you're wearing a caftan, walking through the park,
Is
carrying
that
a
what
yoga
it's
mat.
called? I keep calling it a moo-moo. But yeah, I know there's
It
a
could be
name
a
for it.
moo kaftan, but it's such a great character, and Oswald brings so much to the film. Now, of course, and you've mentioned 3 really successful films that you've been in, and you're having this extraordinary, very varied, successful career in acting. Yet, we know that there is still so much systemic ableism within the TV and film industry.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the surface has even been scratched with that one, and we're not looking at that enough at all. I've heard you say in interviews before, out of 29 Oscar-nominated films with the portrayal of disability, only 2 of the actors out of that lineup were actually disabled.
Yeah.
And if you were to change the metrics to race or gender, it would be instantly seen as utterly unacceptable.
Yeah.
So it seems like it shouldn't fall on your shoulders or anyone's shoulders to have to go, I need to fix this. It just shouldn't be happening in the first place.
No, but on one hand, there is the argument that it isn't the job of the disabled community to fix a problem they didn't create.
No.
But then if someone doesn't do it, no one's going to. I don't think no one's going to wake up in the morning and suddenly have it figured out. And so I think there's a lot of polarising and divisive rhetoric at the moment around any kind of minority politics. And I want to kind of get into the middle and be like, okay, let's all talk about this. Let's all stop shouting ableist and snowflakes from our own little ivory towers and just come and have a conversation. I mean, equally, equality isn't something I will negotiate. How we get there absolutely is. Because it's going to take time, and I'd rather take a bit longer with it and get it right than rush it through and have it have a lot more shortcomings than would be necessary. And I think, again, it's heading in the right direction. And we need more people behind the scenes as well as on screen. Because it's a cyclical thing. If we're not getting it right off camera, we're never going to get it right on camera. And we also need just clear pathways for progression for disabled talent in the industry. There's a lot of schemes that put disabled people in jobs, but not a lot that will put disabled talent in careers. And there's a world of difference between those two things. So, yeah, I'd encourage disabled people not to take no for an answer. And be as resilient and persistent as you feel you can be on any given day, because it's not a continuum. Even I have like good days and bad days. I'm just not in the mood to fight or have the chats or go on X that day. But and then if you're at the top, look for disabled talent because they're out there. The idea that there haven't been any Oscar-winning disabled actors because they're simply not there is ridiculous. I could cast most of Disney's upcoming projects from my mobile. Yeah. So, yeah, let's not kid ourselves. Let's let disabled talent get in the room, audition, and blow the bollocks off casting directors. Yes. And wind up on screen. Because I don't want to go too far the other way either. I don't want to put disabled people in jobs that they're not ready for. I think if you can't do the job, you shouldn't get the job. I have no problem with that statement whatsoever. but it's the lack of opportunity that riles me.
And
slightly.
also, if you are on screen, it's also looking at the tone of the role. And, you know, your portrayal in A Different Man is a prime example of that, where you're not playing any of those tropes that we've discussed. You're playing this vibrant character who happens to have facial disfigurement. It's not because of, it's not the reason that you're there. You're just this amazingly vibrant character. And it's casting people in a role to play a character that fits into the story without question.
Yeah, where the disability isn't the raison d'etre for them being there. I want to get into doing more films just because I'm bloody good at my job.
Yeah.
And not because they need a disabled guy. What if we write a character who wasn't disabled, but then someone saw me and thought, cool, let's have him be that character. And we're slowly getting there. I think guys like Peter Dinklage have done the world of good for disabled actors in the industry. And then you've got legends like Marley Matlin who've been like killing it since the 80s. But I still would like to see more.
Yeah.
Who are in like good roles with good directors. And the word that really grinds my gears is when people say, oh, but isn't it a risk? And it's like, no, I'm not a risk, I'm an asset. And so let's, park that for 1 second. And yeah, there's all these excuses that are slowly starting to wear thinner and thinner and thinner the more we see disability on screen.
Yeah.
And eventually the dam's going to break and there's going to be loads of disabled talent coming in. I mean, hopefully not too many because I still got to work. Like,
just a few.
Yeah. No, enough where I'm still the best, but not too many where everyone works out I'm an idiot, right?
Okay, we're going to bear that in mind. I mean, one of the big problems is something that you have touched on already, and that is the fact that we're still seeing in films, most famously James Bond, the bad guy, the villain with facial scars, disfigurement, and that's become just something that, for years we're all just so accepting of, and it's not okay. But there doesn't seem to be much progression there, and we know there are many people challenging this. Jono Lancaster, who's sort of in our little happy place family and a friend of mine, has done really great work.
I love Jono.
I love Jono, and he's really called out specific TV shows for doing it very recently. Like SNL did it not long ago.
Yes,
it's
was
still happening. That stupid sketch.
Immutable Man or whatever it was.
It was just
called.
Really not okay. But it I don't know. I'm sort of lost for words because it shouldn't be happening still.
Well, it's 3 in a row now for Bond, which in a franchise that's made such significant progress in terms of its portrayal of women.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're still here with that. But I don't want to blanket ban it either. It's just there's no balance here. Where's the good guy or the hero with a disfigurement? If we'd had that running through it at the same time, I'd have much less of a problem with it. So it's sort of like the lack of balance to the whole thing. And then it sort of has a real world knock-on effect to how people like myself or Jono or, I don't know, Tilda Swift or Sam Rank get perceived in the real world. Because not everyone has that kind of cognitive dissonance to separate fiction from reality. Not everyone in the moment can suspend their disbelief enough. And also, we're all, whether we choose to admit it or not, products of our environment. And what we take in will affect what we put out. That's just psychology 101.
Yeah, of course. Which is why this needs to change ASAP. And these conversations, as I'm sure arduous as they are for you at times, because you're having to say things that are so unbelievably obvious, are important. Because there will be people out there that, are still casting those roles or haven't given it a thought, and the ramifications of what that means for people.
But then people don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
And it's all progress. And I go into these conversations with the attitude, first time every time. Where every time I have it, I act like it's the first time I've said it. Because to the person I'm talking to, it's more than likely the first time they've heard it. So if I go in with a, oh, again kind of attitude, then I don't think that's going to be conducive of change. So,
No.
so yeah, I think a little bit of patience goes a long way, and you win more friends with honey than you do with piss and vinegar.
It's a fact. But also, you're putting that message out there by just being a bloody good actor and climbing the ladder of Hollywood or whatever ascent it is that you're on.
Yeah, or trying to, like one day at a time. One day at a time. I think finally my mother believes I'm famous.
Did that take some convincing?
It took, I think in Berlin, when we did the international premiere with the massive red carpet, I think that's when sort of like the pennies dropped for her.
That's so good. I mean, I loved watching your mum talk on your Horizons documentary, My Amazing Twin. She just seems like a lovely, brilliant woman.
Yeah, she is.
She's so lovely.
She is. And it's good now because she saw me at my worst for about 21 years. So the fact she now gets to see me at my best is sort of like, yeah, you did it, Mum.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's so good. Let's talk about your twin, Neil. So he also has neurofibromatosis, but it presents differently.
Yeah.
So talk to us about Neil's situation.
So Neil has short-term memory loss and epilepsy. So he needs to get himself in like really good routines so that he like remembers to, you know, kind of take his tablets and he's got to keep himself like really well regimented. And he's also got that support network there with like, you know, me, Mum, and like close friends that are aware, but also have the time and the patience to deal with it. But just to keep him in check and be like, oh, have we done this today? Have we done this? Is this in your like diary? Like the amount of money we spent on like technology and apps and things to try and like get him into good routines, and some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. But he does remarkably well under the circumstances. And
that was for him discovered a little bit later down the line, right? Because how old were you when you were diagnosed? You were a small kid.
5, yeah. We were both diagnosed at 5. But Neil's memory loss didn't become a thing until he was 14. We went out one night to like a youth group, and then when we got home, we couldn't remember where we'd been. And we just thought at the time he's either tired because it had been a long day, or he was just like messing about, you know, having a bit of a joke with us all. And then the next morning, still very sort of like forgetful and vacant and what have you. And so then we took him to like scans and what have you. And yeah, here we are. And I think kind of, you know, knowing what it is sort of like half the battle. And then I think often I always say autonomy with anything is so important, because once you know the devil that you're dancing with and the dance you're doing, you know what steps to take to bring the whole thing together.
He seems to be really thriving. He's got a job that he's enjoying, and he's making it work.
Yeah. And he's also a nice guy.
He seems lovely.
He's the nice one out of the two of us.
I think you're both pretty nice.
I have my moments.
Have you turned into a diva since you've been
I've
on these red carpets?
I've always been a diva. People just have time for it now.
Your mum said in that documentary that you've both worn your disabilities with broad shoulders, and that you both have a really good attitude to life and what you want to achieve. Where does that attitude come from? Is it your mum?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Dad. I'd be a shell of the man I am if it wasn't for 2 really supportive parents that wouldn't let me take no for an answer.
That's so important.
No, completely. Having that network is everything.
You have something in common with me in terms of how your love and desire to work in TV was sparked. We were both in the audience of Live and Kicking as children.
We were.
It was like one of the best days of my life. You
Same.
had that experience. So Talk to me about that. Because for me, it's like one of my fondest memories. You're sitting in that studio. It's actual real life. You can't believe it. What went through your mind at that point when you were sat there?
Well, there were all these like people there, and all this like whirring and clicking, and TV has always fascinated me as a kid. And then to see the mechanics of it happening live on something you would be watching at home anyway. And John Barrowman's over there, Emma Ford is over there, there's Andy spelt with an I, Peters over there, there's Trevor and Simon dressed like garden gnomes and doing pop videos with the boy band 2/3.
Yeah.
And it was like wild.
So brilliant. I had exactly the same thing. I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. So you're from that point, you're like me, you're dreaming big. You want to work in TV. You actually started off researching and doing casting for TV shows initially.
Yeah, development, research, and casting.
And you went along to the audition or submitted to get an audition for Under the Skin as a joke.
Yeah, completely. I was casting series 2 of The Undateables at the time, and then the charity Changing Faces sent an email where kind of, this casting agency had been in touch. They're working on a new Jonathan Glazer film. They want a guy with a disfigurement to be in it. If you're interested, call this lady. And as like a business grad from Brighton, I'd written like essays on Jonathan Glazer's adverts because I think he's a genius. And so I was like, well, I've got to throw my name in, right? Still sort of like jokingly, because they're never going to hire me. I'm an idiot. And it all got really serious really quickly.
And you thought what at this point?
I was, whenever they go, okay, what we want you to do next is X, I was like, yeah, can definitely screw that up. And so, can you just write a little bit about yourself and send it over? And I didn't have time, so I sent my CV. And the opening line of my CV at the time was, my name is Adam Pearson, I'm the best in the world at what I do. And no further explanation as to what I do. And they loved that. So they were like, okay, can you put a clip of yourself on YouTube for us to see how you move and talk and what have you? And so if you go onto YouTube and type in me, Adam Pearson, 2011, it's there.
Brilliant.
And I think I insult both my employers, Star Signs Vegans, and then a Yorkshire Terrier appears in my arms out of nowhere. And I was like, yeah, that'll get rid of them. Nope. And then had to go to the American church on Tottenham Court Road to meet Jonathan, so one final hurrah. I had to cross one road, hit by a cab and broke my leg.
What?
And like broke it, like knee and foot pointing different ways. And then adrenaline kicks in, and I call him. I'm like, hey, funny story, been hit by a cab, I think my leg's broken. I'm still really keen, don't think I'm not keen. I'm just going to be 5 minutes late.
5 minutes late?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then he just goes, okay. Then I call my mum, I'm like, I've been hit by a cab, my leg's broken. And she was like, oh, see what you see, our son. Just really casually, like it was always going to happen in her head. And then fast forward 20 minutes, I'm then under a taxi in just my pants because they've cut me out my clothes.
Brilliant.
High as giraffe ass on morphine. And he's come down me and been like, and he said, and again, I've only been told this by colleagues,
right?
Because morphine.
Yeah.
Apparently the conversation went, bloody hell, Adam, I didn't realise you did your own stunt work. To which I apparently replied, mate, do I look like I've got a fucking stunt double?
This is ridiculous.
And my mum can verify it's true as well. Because it does sound like every Mr. Bean episode at the same time.
It's wild.
And then he came to see me the next day in UCL while I was waiting for surgery. I got like a rod and screws.
Oh, God.
Now, one step closer to Iron Man. And, formally offered me the role.
Wow. I mean, it's an extraordinary entry into the world of film.
They say break a leg, and I'm nothing if not a literalist.
It's so good. I mean, looking at your whole story, and I've heard you talk on the Horizon documentary about school being rough, you not enjoying it, being bullied and singled out and having a really rough time.
Yeah.
How? Because there'll be people listening to this who don't feel confident, who don't feel they can change the path and the course of their life because they don't feel like they've had a good start in life, or that they've been bullied and that's stuck with them. the rhetoric or whatever it is has stuck with them. I'm sure it wasn't an overnight thing, but
No.
how have you gone from a kid that was severely bullied at school to now someone who is really confident in their skill set, is showing up to these huge, high-pressured gigs that you're working on, feeling confident?
It's, as you say, like one day at a time. You wake up every day and try and make that day better than yesterday, however yesterday looks. I think there's a lot to be said for freedom in forgiveness. Like, sure, school was rough, but eventually you've got to let that go, but also let them go from that as well. And now, as a jaded 39-year-old man, I don't judge anyone on who they were when they were like 14, 15, 16, because it's unfair and unreasonable. And also, I wasn't perfect in those situations either. I still wouldn't want people to think the same way of me when for the person I was when I was 14, 15, 16. And then, I heard this in a Wrestlers Hall of Fame speech.
Right.
Adam Copeland, wrestled under the name Edge. And rarely does stuff stick with me. I'm not a guy that hears a quote and goes, aha, that is my mantra now. But he said, decide what to be and go be it.
Oh, I like that. It's very straightforward.
Yeah, it's remarkably straightforward. Some might argue too straightforward, but then sometimes we overcomplicate things.
I think we do all the time.
And we get in I get in my own head a lot when I'm like on my own.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like, and you know, sometimes you just gotta take the plunge and jump in and be like, kind of, but what if you suck it up? Just be like, well, then try again and suck it up less.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
Well, I think we look at failure as the opposite of success, when actually it's the journey towards it.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're sailing upwards, then sail on. Right?
But failing upwards, I guess, requires you've got to have resilience, because when you are, you know, down in the dumps on your knees, it can be hard to pick yourself back up. But that's something that you've consistently been able to do, would you say?
I reckon, yeah. And that comes from having a good network of people around you. And I was lucky that I had a good supporting family around me. But then I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older. I think I spent most of my 20s trying to make loads of friends, and then most of my 30s trying to make most of them leave. And I think there are three kinds of people you need in your life. You need like a truth teller.
Yeah.
You need like a confidant. And you need a ride or die. You need that one person you can call at like 3 in the morning, like mid-panic attack. And the first thing they'll say is, I'm on my way.
Yeah. So important. And the truth teller is really important as well. I think that's an important role for all of us, to have a friend that we know isn't going to dispense advice that is based on their own nostalgia or just something they need to rant about. They're going to tell you exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and what you need to hear and what you want to hear are two very different things. Mm-hmm. And I've got one of my friends, I love it a bit, Monica. If ever I'm getting a bit too carried away with myself, she'll just be like, you're being a dick, wind your neck in.
We all need a Monica.
Everyone needs a Monica.
We all need a Monica.
Yeah.
She's keeping your feet firmly on the ground.
Oh yeah.
At this very exciting time.
Absolutely.
It's no bad thing. Again, I keep referencing the Horizon documentary, but I found it incredibly insightful and interesting. And you say in the documentary, it's a very powerful scene in the documentary, that the word normal sends shivers up your spine.
Oh, completely.
It's a word that is thrown about extremely flippantly and inserted into all sorts of sentences in different contexts. And again, without much thought as to the damage it could be doing.
Well, I don't even think it's doing damage. It's not the damage that it does that sends shivers up my spine. I just find it such an unremarkable word. Like, what kid stands up on career day, looks their teacher dead in the face and says, just want to be normal? You know, wife, 2 kids, dog, 36 grand a year. That's what I want, Mrs. McMullen. Yep, and then sits back down again. Like, to embrace the normal, to accept mediocrity. And I have no interest in being mediocre.
No. Yeah, I love that. You're so right. You know, especially when we're kids, it's really interesting to look at a child's mindset because you're so free of any social conditioning or there's not too much influence around that age. And of course, you do put your hand up in class and you want to be an astronaut or something that feels extraordinary, and then that gets sort of beaten out of you.
Yeah, no, completely. I think I wanted to be Batman. I think that was my answer.
I mean, there's still time.
There is absolutely still time, and this is in the era of like Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing thing. Oh, go if you haven't seen it, look up Adam West Batman and jump down that YouTube rabbit hole with me. I think he got banned from a town in America because he dragged his way through it. And he got like a 15-year ban from somewhere.
Oh my God!
In the 70s.
That's incredible.
I mean, more power to him.
More power to him. I mean, and I've learned something new today as well, which is good. I mean, there will be people out there that still feel utterly paralysed by the fact that they don't feel normal. And this counters what we've just said. But there will be people out there that feel that there is something inherently off with them. It could be something that's happened in the past, something mentally that's holding them back.
Yeah, well, if you don't feel normal, then lean into that. Why would you feel normal if you were born to be extraordinary?
Definitely clipping that up and listening to it daily. But that's the sort of, I don't know, I think that's the sort of attitude, and it's an important sentence that we don't hear enough. To lean into those parts of yourself that you don't feel are, fitting into the norm.
And then also just go find other people who aren't normal and like make friends with them.
Yeah.
Like some of my best mates are guys who I play, fully grown men by the way, who I play D&D with in the pub on like a regular basis.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm a dark elf rogue assassin called Apollo Archon Jones.
I don't even know what that means.
My friend Mark's a red dragonborn called Samash. That's how we get our... And it's also just a really good mental health break.
Yeah.
Right, it means I have to think about work for 6 hours and can pretend to be someone else for a while.
Yeah.
And therefore my actions in game, not in real life, have no consequences.
That's quite freeing.
It's absolutely freeing. I think D&D is one of the best kind of mental health checks I have. That and Magic the Gathering.
I love it. So, I mean, you seem to be striking a pretty good balance considering you've got so much going on work-wise, and it's been an incredibly busy year of the press run for the film, and I'm sure whatever's coming next, future-wise, it's pretty relentless.
Yeah, we've got a few interesting things at the moment that we're reading and negotiating and thinking about, which is exciting. But it's a case that I don't want to do too much. I think I've had to recently master the art of saying no.
It's a hard one.
And knowing when enough is enough and when I need a break.
Yeah.
So I'm off to New York in December for the Gotham Awards because the film's nominated and I'm nominated for supporting.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
And we were asked to go to Sao Paulo Comic-Con straight after for the Latin American release of the film. And I was like, that's a 9-hour flight from New York and an 11-hour flight back to London. And I'd have already been on 16 planes this year. And I think at that point I need to just go home and do Christmas.
Yeah, you really
do December, see people. I've done no Christmas shopping and I'm normally done by now.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I mean, we're the same. I love starting. I'm like end of October. I've written the list. I'm starting.
Oh, I start in January.
In January?
No, I start on Boxing Day.
What?
I get all my wrapping paper and Christmas cards on Boxing Day.
Because the sales.
They're pennies on the pound.
Yeah, I haven't gone that far.
I just clear out Card Factory in Croydon.
Okay, I love this. Watch out, Croydon. Now, I start now-ish, but I'm even still people say to me, that's not okay that you're starting this early.
Oh, it's completely fine.
I think it's completely fine. I've got a lot of people to buy for.
Oh, right, and my missus loves Halloween.
Oh, right, you've just done a big Halloween then.
And you've got also a lot of these rarer Halloween stuff. Like they'll put out like a limited run, like Hello Kitty pop vinyl set.
Oh, wow.
Of like a zombie, a vampire, and a ghost. And I'll pick up all three and just hold one of them back for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
And be like, I couldn't get all three. The zombies sold out quite quickly. And then I'd give it to her for Christmas and be like, I lied.
I love it. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is fame.
Yeah.
Which is...
it's a sickle beast, isn't it?
It is, and it's a strange concept. And you've said previously, you've never had the luxury of being invisible.
Yeah.
And you talk again in the documentary about people staring at you in the street, at worst getting camera phones out to take pictures of you. So you've now got the double whammy of something that was pre-existing that you were having to endure, but now fame piled on top of that.
Yeah, this is what, when we were discussing Sebastian's role in the film, we had a really big couple of Zoom meetings so he could ask me questions and I could be like kind of frank with him. Because I think honesty is one of the really important parts of the creative process. And so unless I was willing to be emotionally vulnerable and visceral with him as my co-star, we have no right to ask an audience to do the same thing when they watch the film. I think that respect between actors and audiences should always be mirrored. And I was like, so you might not understand what it's like to have a disfigurement, but I've always said the two ways to lose your anonymity in a society and to become public property are to either have a disfigurement or become really famous. So you won't understand my upbringing of pointing, name calling, everyone thinking that you owe them your entire medical story just because you exist. So what you will understand is people thinking they owe you because they saw you in Gossip Girl, I Tonya, or what have you. You know what it's like to have the press write things about you, and who cares if it's true, we'll deal with that later. And you do know what it's like to be kind of doxed or followed home. So sort of lean into that a little bit. And then when you don't think you can lean into it anymore, lean into it more.
What other stuff did you talk about on that call? I'm so interested because I think it can be difficult, especially when you don't know someone particularly well, to have a really frank conversation about things that you might both be worried to say or ask. How did that go?
It went really, really well. We were just like we're both kind of well-travelled men. He was born and raised in Romania. He and his mother got out of there when he was 8 and went to somewhere else in Europe. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to disrespect him by getting it wrong. And then they arrived in America when he was 12. And then it's a case of, again, recalibrating and adjusting to like your new situation and finding what the new ebbs and flows to life are. With any change, be it him, Sebastian, moving from Romania to America as a kid, when it's me in like ever-changing medical circumstances, you find sort of like the new thing, right? You grieve what was lost and then you celebrate the new circumstances and crack on with them. And then we also are like, okay, where's your favourite pizza place in New York? What are your favourite films? Sort of connect on that deeper human level. And Joe's Pizza on Fulton in Manhattan is amazing.
That's the chosen one?
That's my one. Yeah,
that's your one. But it seems like you, and I've watched countless interviews of you together now talking about the film. It seems like there's a genuine friendship between you.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
How brilliant.
He replies to my texts. And, I mean, I haven't texted him over the past couple of days because America's busy.
It's quite busy. He's got other stuff to be worrying about, quite frankly.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He does. But I can really tell, and you can tell on screen that there's genuine love there. Like you really get each other. Yeah.
One time he had an event on at the BSI in the South Bank. He had a Apple TV film out. Shatter, I think it's called. It's sort of like Crash, like a long con, loads of little stories coming together. It's Crash meets Sin City. It's remarkably good. And I didn't know he was over, and my phone rings, his name comes up, and I'm like, oh, he's butt dialed me. And so I pick up anyway, and I'm like, hello. He's like, Adam, I'm in London, I got a thing tonight, come to the hotel. And then it hangs up. And I'm like, well, what thing? What hotel? Like, I need more information to actually say.
I love it. It's so great. And it's just a remarkable bit of cinema. I'm sure that, the whole team, all of you feel incredibly proud of how it's turned out.
Yeah, everyone, and I think that's a real collaborative thing. I think everyone rocked up wanting to make something special and beautiful. And we had all these weird time constraints as well. We shot the whole thing in 22 days.
How come?
Budget, and also me and Renata had hard outs.
Right.
Renata had to go and film Hanley Undead, like a wonderful Norwegian zombie film. And I had Celebrity Antiques Road Trip.
Which is extremely important.
Extremely important. Couldn't leave Katie Piper and David Harper waiting.
Did you find any interesting antiques?
Quite a few. I mean, I lost, which I was none too happy about.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we filmed the ending before you know what's happened at the auction.
Oh.
So we filmed 3 different takes. One where it's either one if we'd drawn and one if Kate had won. And so the one where I was whoa, yeah, oh, Adam Pearson, oh, Adam. And then the one that we drew was at least we had a good day out. And then the one that they used was Katie being oh, I won, yeah. And then I'm just shut up and dry.
Over it by that point.
Yeah, over it.
Wishing you were still in New York, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm interested to know, Adam, what is your happy place?
Oh, my happy place. I don't think I have one physical place. Though I am quite partial to the Lego store.
Yeah.
In Leicester Square.
You've got a great love for Lego.
I adore Lego.
Is it the fact that it just makes you feel super chilled out?
Yeah, it chills me out. You're making something, you're not staring at a screen. It's also a challenge for me.
Yeah.
I can't buy the little $9.99 things anymore. I think last time I went, I spent $1,000.
Wow, on Lego.
Yeah.
What did you get? The Harry Potter castle? What was it?
No, I got the globe, the world map, the Lego NES CRT TV, and the grand piano.
Wow. The most intricate one I've done is a bonsai tree.
Oh, I have that. That's the botanical set.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Green or pink?
Pink.
Correct answer.
Correct answer.
Yeah.
It's such a good one. But it is. It's a beautiful way just to relax and chill out and switch off. There's no screens involved.
No, and that set holds the record for the most frogs in one Lego set.
There's so many frogs.
Who
knew the flowers were frogs?
Well, because that blossom's called Frog Blossom.
Oh, is that why? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've learned loads of things today.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lego store. I think that's a pretty good happy place.
It is, but I'm also happy when I'm just with my mates.
Yeah.
Wherever I am, as long as I'm in good company, then that's my happy place.
Me too, I agree. Well, as I'd imagined, it was a joy talking to you.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm just so happy to watch your career unfold and see where you head next. It's all very exciting.
Same with you.
Thank you, Adam.